Okay, today we're getting into an adventure book, The Princes of the Apocalypse. So this one, going on the back, this one is Primordial Evil Threatens the Realms. The first signs are always small. Bandits on the roads, pirates on the Dissaran River, monster sightings throughout the somber hills, all too close to lands of civilized folk. To top things off, a delegation from the dwarven city of Mirabar has gone missing. Are these events all bizarre coincidence, or is there a deeper reason behind them? Working through its prophets, the Elder Elemental Eye has emerged to spread chaos across the Forgotten Realms. How will the adventurers prevent absolute devastation? This is a adventure book for characters levels 1 to 15. Now, of course, most of the book adventure books that I have behind me are usually one levels 1 to 10, 11, maybe 12 or 13 or so. This one pretty much gets you up to level 15. So this includes new spells and the element that touched genocide as basically genies, or I want to say genies, but they're probably different ones. People can jump in the comments and kind of correct me. I'm kind of working off monsters from the top of my head and everything, so people can correct me when I'm wrong and everything. So this is for use with the 5th edition Player's Handbook, Monster Manual, and the Dungeon Master's Guide. So as always, I continually beat things to death. You could get away with just using the Player's Handbook if you picked up one of these, but as a DM, I'm going to say yeah, you're probably going to want to pick up the DM guide and the Monster Manual, because it's going to make your life as a DM a lot easier. Even though technically, like I said, you can and only really need the Player's Handbook, and of course stuff like this, you don't necessarily need adventure books. You can make up your own. But the great thing about this, especially is if you're a first-time DM, is you've got everything right in here, and so you've got pretty much all your legwork already done. So now this says that's in the Forgotten Realms, and so as I flip through, because they do have an actual map of the of the area that you're going to be in. So this is kind of the map of it, and so now if we look at the map from the actual Sword Coast Adventures Guide, you're pretty much going to be pretty much right up in this area, right up in here. So you can kind of zoom in. This is kind of a bigger map of the actual Sword Coast. So kind of that map I showed in that book is kind of in this kind of zoomed in on this area in here. So now, again, this book is designed for levels 1 to 15. Now, technically, the adventure starts off at level 3, but it does have side adventures and stuff for characters to get to from levels 1 to 3. So, for instance, you can get into the small town of Red Larch, and they do give you some in a sense side quests to get you from the levels 1 to level 3, where you're going to start getting into the main bulk of the adventure from level 3 to 15. And of course, in the back they also do have in essence ideas for how to in a sense incorporate into other settings and everything. So in the appendix C, so it says for adaptation into other campaign settings. So the other worlds. So it has Dark Sun, it has Dragonlance, Greyhawk, Eberron, and it also talks about doing in your own world and everything. So it gives you different ideas. Well, I don't necessarily want to run Forgotten Realms. I like playing in Dragonlance. It gives you information how to switch the factions and stuff to fit into Dragonlance, and it gives you ideas on what time frame you do in the sense of Dragonlance. Do you do it in the beginning of the Age of Might, in where the Night of Huma was a pre a Cataclysm with with Ishtar was still up and running, or do you do it maybe War of the Lance? It gives the suggestion of running it a year or two before the actual War of the Lance kicks off and everything. So it gives you ideas on that on how to, oh hey, here's the information you need to import it from the Forgotten Realms, because that's what this one is set into the example I used with the Dragonlance. And so it does have like a decent kind of artwork in the back too and everything. So I always have tough time flipping like this and everything. So it does have kind of like a concept art and stuff like in the back as well. So and of course, like also has like a little like section in the back, like what happens next. So like this is like what happens next. Continue unraveling the mysteries of ancient evil with download module Neverwinter Elemental Evil for its acclaimed free-to-play action MMORPG. Characters in the tabletop role-playing game can delve deeper into the devious plots of the corrupt, power-hungry prophets every week in some worldwide in stores worldwide with D&D Adventures League Elemental Evil Season of Adventures. Bring your tabletop adventures to life with Elemental Evil miniatures and other game accessories like Gale Force 9 and WizKids games. And then the Temple of Elemental Evil Adventure system board game provides new ways to experience this epic story. Combine the contents with the other D&D Adventure system cooperative games. These are board games, so the Castle Ravenloft and the Legend of the Drist. I have gone over Legend of Drist board game, so you can check that one out too. Yeah, this is to create even more exciting playing experiences. So it gives you the dungeonsanddragons.com website to kind of check this out. So like as I'm kind of checking when this was actually published, so this actually published back in April 2015. So this is kind of dated. So I'd have to actually check that stuff out and everything to kind of double check to make sure stuff is still up and running, because it's like something like that. This having been written 10 years ago, like, hey, I don't know if that stuff is still up and running, especially now, like with the new updated versions of like the player's handbook and everything, and the good old the 2025 versions of the core rulebooks, the PHB Dungeon Master Guide and Monster Manual, and of course, it's kind of harkened to like it's like a 3.5. The new books are like in a sense like a 5.5 edition and everything. So, but like even with this being kind of dated, it's still kind of like it's not a matter of like it doesn't matter of like kind of switching if you do get the new books and you do pick this one up and everything instead of the 2014 versions of the core rule books. So even like I said, with it being dated a good 10 years, of course as of recording of this video, you can still kind of like finagle it and everything with the newer books if you're just starting to get into and everything. And of course, I'll kind of like reiterate this real quick that like I'm of the mind that like all you really need is the player's handbook to play. Now, of course as the DM, yes, I'm going to say you're going to want to get the DM guide and the monster manual for added like information and make your job as a DM easier, and that's where adventure books like this come into play. Especially if you're a first time DM, it gives you everything you need to know. So like a good 250 pages of information that you need to know to be able to run your first adventure and everything. So now you could have been a player for years and like, hey, look, I want to get into becoming a DM. Good place to start is one of these adventure books. Or if you're like a veteran DM and you just kind of want a break of like making stuff up yourself, here's another way. Like, okay, well, I'm sick and tired. Like, I just came off like a multi-year campaign that I made myself and everything. I just kind of want to do something quick and easy. That's where this comes in. So like, okay, you can just it takes out the legwork. You can just flip it open, read it through, and like, all right, here we go. Here's all the information I need, and let's get at it and everything. So, yeah. This was probably like one of the first adventure books being published in 2015, that for 5th edition and everything. So this is a quick one, pretty much on of course now I'm kind of rambling and everything on the Princes of the Apocalypse, and of course like I showcased, it's set in Forgotten Realms, but like I mentioned, it does have information to kind of export it to other campaign settings and everything. So adventure books, like I said, and I'll end this with like a statement, like it's a great way to get started as DM for like if it was first time, because a lot of your legwork is already done for you. So now again, these books like all the other ones, other than like the PHB or the starter set, I'm of the mind they're optional, but they're great pickups for like a quick adventure and everything. So this is a quick one to go over. One of the earliest ones of like the adventure book of the Princes of the Apocalypse.